scene where they're having a big battle near the end of the film,
Yes.
and then that to me that scene was about how innocent people are waylaid and jeopardized and are casualties of these kind of conflicts. They're innocent people in the middle of a crazy war.
Absolutely. About the ending, did you feel that the author left enough hope?
Well, I think the tomorrow thing obviously is trying to, the whole movie is kind of. I think the movie is clearly got some Christian imagery in it, different elements of it. The child is kind of a Jesus, the Christ figure, Jesus figure, in various ways, and so certainly, everyone that kind of dies to try to save this child. Everyone's trying to do their best to. So this child becomes the hope of the film is that, that if we can this child can live, then we can maybe all live. It's gets much bigger kind of implications to all of us that that maybe we'll be okay in the end.
Absolutely. What do you think would happen after the film to Key and the child? How would they keep?
And Key's the mother.
Yes.
Is that right?
Well,
I don't think that's movies like this that have endings like this. I don't think that's what they want you to think about.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's not so much about what will happen to her or what will happen to the child. It's about the world that these two people, that really are the heroes of the film, the fact that they're living in that world in the first place. It's not so much about, that's why they leave it ambiguous at the end. That's why they leave it a little open, because it's not so much about, if they wanted you to know, they would have told you. They don't want you to think about that. They want you to think about how we ended up in such a horrible place to start with.
Mm-hmm.
The movie is about how a society can get to that point. How everybody in that movie feels justified in various ways. It all, and even the good. I think the revolutionaries are the good guys in certainly one sense, but they aren't doing very good things.
Right. Which I feel like it might be the author's. The fish is a symbol of Christianity. I think it might be the author's an ironic or a correlation between his view of Christianity, maybe that Christians are trying to do the good thing, but maybe not going about the right way.
Well, I think that in general, what I get from the film is that in general, it's that things are complicated, that conflict is complicated. And anytime you start getting into conflict, and when I'm talking about conflict, I mean war, and you start shooting people, it just gets real muddy after that. It's hard for the baby and the mother, for the child, for these people to survive. They don't really care who's shooting at who. They're in the middle of a horrible situation trying to survive. Mm-hmm. And that's the way it is in war. The people in the middle always are just trying to survive.
Right.
And they don't really care about the politics much at that point. They're just trying to get out of the way.
Absolutely. Cool. I have a thought. I just kind of want to get your input, maybe, about Key. She's a refugee and African, and from scientific explanation, humans originated in North Africa, and it's kind of ironic that.
Yeah, so it's a nice symbolic kind of choice in that sense, I think, and I think too that it makes a comment too about, in Africa, many countries in Africa that have these kind of conflicts going on all the time, and I'm sure there are people on each side that feel justified, but the people in the middle, they are just trying to survive. They're just trying to get out of the way of the bullets, and so what the film does is it takes that to the next extreme. It takes it to the biggest effect possible, where the whole world is like this now. And So now, we're kind of a dying world from all of this. The world is dying. It's dying because we can't have children anymore. So the world's going to die off in essence. That's what it's kind of saying in various ways. We don't know if every country's like this or whatever, but certainly that's kind of what it's implying. And so the fact that the film chooses an African, an immigrant, a refugee, all of that to kind of be the center of the hope of the film. I think the movie's also kind of saying that the poor are the hope of of the world. That the poor are the ones that have it figured out. That the poor are the ones that that are not confused about all the things that makes the war reasonable and that makes the war necessary. And the smart people always think the war is necessary. Mm-hmm. Smart people always think that we got to kill those guys over there. The poor people, the people that are powerless, the people that make no decisions, they have no effect in the world. They're the people that would tell you probably that's not a good idea. Right. I think we should try something else here. And so that's where the hope is that the hope is in the poorest of us in that sense. I think that's what the movie kind of says in a way. And in the one character, I forget the actor's name, Clive Owen, the lead actor's name. His arc in the film is really that as well. He goes from kind of being a selfish guy, kind of a guy who doesn't want to get involved, kind of a guy who's dealing with this on the periphery of things, to getting involved, and then kind of being disappointed by the politics of it. Mm-hmm. And then when he's disappointed in the politics of it, what he's not disappointed in is the fact that this woman is pregnant and is going to have this child, and he knows how much that means. So he ends up really giving his life to make this, in the hope that this child will survive, and with all of that means, which is really new hope for the world. Mm-hmm. Sweet. So in that sense, the Clive Owen character is like us. We are supposed to go from the selfish, self-centered, don't care about anything that doesn't affect me, to a place where we care about the lesser of us, and that the lesser of us are the hope of the world. That if you want to find out where life is really all about, then you get close to those people in the most jeopardy.
Mm-hmm. Great answer.
Sweet. I'm curious myself as to why there are so many religious allegories in this movie. Like he shows Theo the baby in the barn, which plays on.
It's stable. Right?
Yeah. I'm curious as to why the author chose so many.
Well, that's in great films, movies that are what I call that are not disposable movies that are forever, movies that you can go back and watch time and time again and find new things. There's subtext, and Christian subtext has always been one, because Christian is also literary subtext. Most literary subtext also has different kind of religious overtones, or literature starts with the church. Mm-hmm. Plays start with the church. All of that starts literature and all of that. So most literature, most great plays, most great films are going to have a literary subtext beneath them, oftentimes using Christ figures, oftentimes using figures from myth or from religion or from cultural references to different groups and different areas of our life that have kind of become iconic to us and give us meaning in various ways. Good movies have that. They have another level that are going on beneath the surface. Mm-hmm. And this is one of those films that has that. So I think, the fact that, the child is, Jesus comes from a very similar situation. Mm-hmm. People are trying to kill Jesus when he comes into the world, and they have to flee, and they have to find a home, and they have to their